Humanity has woven its shelter with ingenuity and humility in places where God shaped the earth with precision and love. These are corners frozen in time, where the work of man and the work of the Creator breathe in a single breath. From the turquoise of a beautiful Swiss lake to the green of a field embracing the windmills of Holland and the sublime red of an American autumn. This is Pictures Villages of the World, God's canvas and man's brushstroke. Number 8. Geiranger, Norway. There are places where man can only fall silent. Geiranger is one of them. It is not a village in the classical sense, the kind where you arrive and ask for the town square. It is an exhale from the Ice Age, a breathtaking wound in the skin of Norway. A 15-kilometer fjord carved by glaciers over thousands of years, with rock walls rising more than 1,000 meters above sea level. Water doesn't flow here, it plunges. The Seven Sisters waterfalls drop from the upper plateaus in threads so fine that the air breaks them before they ever touch the surface. The blue of the fjord is deep, almost black at its center where the water reaches unfathomable depths, but turns iridescent turquoise at the shores where it mingles with recent snowmelt. Along the banks, there is barely room for a handful of mountain farms. Their grass-covered rooftops look glued to slopes pitched at 45 degrees. In winter, the threat of avalanches empties the valley entirely. In summer, the midnight sun stains the snowy peaks pink for hours that never turn to night. The few remaining residents live off the tourist season and a breed of cattle that grazes where any other animal would slip into the abyss. Geiranger is not a village to be inhabited. It is a village to be contemplated in absolute silence. A brutal and tender lesson in geological humility, where the Creator signed his most dramatic work, and man learned to keep his mouth shut. Number 7. Ushguli, Georgia. At over 2,000 meters above sea level, wedged between the Skara Glacier and the sky, lies Ushguli. It is not merely one of the highest villages in Europe. It is a stone fortress that has defied earthquakes, Mongol invasions, civil wars, and simple oblivion for more than 1,000 years. The black slate towers you see in photographs did not rise out of aesthetic whim or a desire to appear on postcards. They were born of an almost animal necessity to survive. For centuries, every family built its own defensive tower. When an enemy, an avalanche, or a pack of wolves appeared in the valley, everyone took shelter there with their animals and provisions. Each wall is more than a meter thick and acts as a brutal thermal mass, absorbing the heat of the day and releasing it slowly through Caucasian nights where temperatures plunge well below -20 degrees. And the most astonishing thing, the detail that leaves any modern architect speechless. The foundations are set directly into the bedrock. No concrete to crack, no beams to rot. It is as if the mountain and the dwelling were a single body of stone. There are no trendy restaurants here, no spa hotels. There are slate rooftops, 9 months of snow per year, loose horses chewing on ice, and an iron will you can feel in every breath of frozen air. Ushguli is not visited, it is respected. It is living proof that the eternal requires no architectural grandeur, only good foundations and a great deal of character. Number 6. Meteora, Greece. Try to imagine this. You are standing in the middle of a calm green plain in Thessaly. Suddenly, the earth shrugs its shoulders and hurls upward pillars of stone 400 meters tall. Not one or two, dozens. As if a giant had driven its fingers into the mud and left them there, petrified. That is Meteora. And then comes what defies explanation. On top of those rock needles, clinging to the void, there are monasteries. Built in the 14th century by monks who wanted to be closer to God, literally. There were no cranes, no helicopters. They hauled stones, timber, and food up with ropes and pulleys. Men climbed in esparto grass nets. If the net broke, you fell into the abyss and not a bone remained intact. And still they did it. They built domes, cells, libraries, entire churches. Today you can climb upstairs carved into the rock. But back then there was only faith and vertigo and a silence that weighed more than the stones. When the wind blows between those sandstone columns, it sounds like an out-of-tune organ playing for no one. No car noise, no shouting tourists. There is an echo that stares you down. Meteora is not beautiful. It is terrifying and beautiful at the same time. It is proof that the sacred sometimes demands altitude. And that man, when he truly believes, spits in the face of gravity and wins. Number 5. Furore, Italy. Italy is full of charming villages with colorful houses and flowers on the balconies. Furore is not one of those. In fact, for centuries it was called the village that doesn't exist. Why? Because from the sea, it is invisible. It hides in the crack of a limestone fjord, a deep scar where the waters of the Tyrrhenian Sea force their way through 2 rock walls with fury. To get there, you descend a road that clings to the cliff face like a frightened leech. And when you arrive, you understand the joke. There is no main square. There is no high street. The houses are not side by side. They are stacked on top of one another, gripping the vertical rock like barnacles. To build the first dwelling, they had to create the ground itself by chiseling stone by hand. To get down to the sea to fish, they had to carve staircases into the abyss. Hundreds of steps cut into living rock, with vertiginous drops on either side. Fishermen climbed up and down with 50 kilos of fish on their backs. Mothers descended to wash the laundry. Children went down to play with death every single day. And they did it for generations. Today, Furore is a village of artists and silence. White sheets dry on railings that hang over the void. Conversations drift through the air and mix with the echo of waves breaking far below. Furore is not a village, it is a decision. The decision to say to the mountain, you provide the stone, I'll provide the legs. And ingenuity against gravity always wins. Number 4, Fenghuang, China. Let's talk about a village that should have drowned 1,000 years ago but refused. Fenghuang. It sits in China, on the Ha Giang River. And it doesn't merely touch the water with its feet, it dances with it. Its houses have no foundations in the earth. They have cedar wood stilts driven directly into the riverbed. They look like stilts, like the wooden legs of an animal that decided to stop there and rest. Every year the monsoon arrives, the river rises, it grows angry, it climbs several meters. In any normal village, the water would carry away the houses, the memories, the dogs, and the grandparents' photographs. But in Fenghuang, the water passes underneath, the houses float. It's not magic, it's knowing how to listen. The local inhabitants learned centuries ago that you cannot tame a river, that walls and levees only anger the water. So they did the opposite, they elevated themselves. They used cedar because it resists rot like no other tree. And they built wooden walkways connecting houses that seem to hang from the air. 1,000-year-old stone bridges link the two banks, so old that no one remembers who built them. And at dusk, when the sun sets and the red lanterns are lit, the river turns black as tea and reflects every light, every window, every dream of those who live suspended above it. Fenghuang smells of dried fish, burning wood, and a dampness that doesn't bother you. It sounds like water that never stops running. And the people smile, because they know that down below, the river passes. But they stay. They didn't conquer nature. They learned to live above it. And that is 3. Ha Giang, Vietnam. Now forget the water. We're going to the stone. In northern Vietnam, on the border with China, there is a place that should have no people. It is called Ha Giang. It is a plateau of black limestone from the Devonian period, meaning this rock was here when the first fish with legs crawled onto land. And it hasn't changed much since. It is a vertical desert. There is no fertile soil. Rainwater filters instantly through the limestone, which is as porous as a stone sponge. Anywhere else in the world, a geologist would look at this and say, nobody lives here, and yet people do. Not just surviving, they farm. How? Crack by crack. The rice paddies are not in valleys. They cling to hillsides and terraces that look like staircases climbing to the sky. Every square meter of cultivable land was wrested from the rock by hand over centuries of patience. If a grain of rice grows there, it's because someone broke a stone with their bare hands to give that grain a place to exist. And then there are the roads. The Ma Pi Leng Pass is a highway carved directly into the abyss. 1,500 meters of drop on one side, rock on the other. The elders say that to build it, workers were suspended from ropes and labored hanging over the void. If the rope broke, there was no story to tell. Ha Giang is not beautiful. It is hard. It smells of fermented corn, sweating horses, and human effort. Children walk 2 hours to get to school. Grandmothers have crooked backs from carrying stones. But they don't leave, because when you have carved your home into the hardest rock in the world, that rock is yours forever. Ha Giang is not a village. It is a fingernail driven into the mountain. Number 2, Huacachina, Peru. We're going to the desert, to the driest place on Earth after Antarctica, the Ica Desert in Peru. It rains once every 10 years if you're lucky. The sand is golden, fine, and gets into your lungs. There is nothing. 100-meter dunes that shift slowly like sleeping beasts. The sun punishes. Shadow doesn't exist. Now comes the absurd part. In the middle of that hell of heat and silence, there is a lagoon, emerald-colored water, towering palm trees, birds that have no business being there. That is Huacachina, an oasis, but not just any oasis. The locals say the lagoon was born from the tears of an Inca princess whose heart was broken. Geology says there are underground currents that surface here, because sometimes the earth has its whims, but the explanation doesn't matter. What matters is that someone saw that mirror of water in the middle of nowhere and said, "I'm staying here." And they built houses in warm colors. They planted eucalyptus trees and more palms to hold back the dunes, because the dunes move and can swallow an entire village whole if they set their mind to it. They built a promenade that hugs the lagoon like a protective arm. And today, visitors climb onto sandboards and launch themselves headfirst down the golden dunes. They race down at 100 kilometers an hour, sand sticking to their faces, laughing like children. Then they throw themselves into the turquoise lagoon and float on their backs looking up at a sky so blue it hurts. Huacachina is nature's joke, a you shouldn't exist made real. But it exists, and it lives, and it pulses. It smells of fresh water and defeated desert. It sounds like laughter and warm wind. It is a place where you understand that sometimes life blooms where you least expect it, where the ground says no and the water says yes, and man simply smiles and stays. Number 1, Brienz, Switzerland. And we arrive at the first, the one that claimed the highest place. Not the most dramatic or the most extreme, but the most perfect. Brienz, Switzerland. I'll start with the water. Lake Brienz has a color that exists nowhere else in the world. It is blue, but not the blue of the sky or the sea. It is turquoise, but as if someone had dissolved an entire glacier into a porcelain cup. That color is called glacial milk. Glaciers grind rock for millennia until it becomes the finest dust imaginable. That dust floats in the water, and when the sun touches it, the light does impossible things. The water looks solid. It looks like a liquid dream. It looks as though you could sink into it and never return. Around the lake, green mountains, conifer forests that smell of resin and clean humidity, and on the shore of the village. Brienz is made of wood. Everything is made of wood, but not just any wood, carved wood. Because here winters are bitterly cold, the lakes freeze, snow buries the roads, you cannot work the land or fish. So the inhabitants locked themselves in their workshops and carved toys, furniture, musical instruments, entire stories within a single piece of pine. That craft has been passed from parents to children for 4 centuries. Today, the workshops of Brienz are still open. Grandparents teach grandchildren. The sound of a chisel against wood is the heartbeat of the village. Brienz doesn't shout at you. It doesn't impress you with abysses or waterfalls. It whispers. It says, "Look, the most beautiful water in the world. Look, the hand of man turning a tree into a song." And you sit down on the promenade. The sun reflects off the turquoise lake. It smells of freshly cut wood, and you don't want to leave, not ever. Because Brienz is the perfect balance between what God makes and what man makes. The canvas and the brushstroke. The beginning and the end. First place, without question.